Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, the weather's not bad. It's 50 degrees, a little windy, not terribly windy, and we have some sunshine, so much so that I can hardly see out of my eyes, including my bad one, which is getting better. The lead story, from my perspective, is what can we expect out of Georgia? And you may have heard that Fani Willis, the local prosecutor from Fulton County, has been investigating Donald Trump's coercive statements to the Secretary of State, which were taped, basically asking him to give him votes that he did not obtain fairly so that he, Trump, could win. And he wanted all the votes that were the margin of victory for Biden plus one vote. Arrogant to the end. Now, Willis did something that strikes me as, well, strange. I wouldn't have done it. And this is what she did. She got the court to impanel a grand jury that cannot indict. It can only hear evidence and then report what they found. And that report can be sealed or it can be made public. Now let's go over a couple of things here. First of all, everyone should know that a grand jury does not exercise independent judgment. And when it does, they call them runaway grand juries because they ignore what the prosecutor is advising them. And they sit down, and one of their members is the scrivener, and they write a report. And these can be pretty elaborate. And I was familiar with them as a young man in New York, where around every corner there is somebody that's ready to write a book about something. So they would write these reports, and sometimes things would happen. Now, so what is going on in Georgia? Well, as I understand it, today that grand jury has finished its work and has a report. And on January the 24th, the judge is going to have the report, and there's going to be a decision to release it or not. Now, keep in mind that a grand jury is the tool of a prosecutor. It does what the prosecutor tells them to do. What's a good example of that? You bring in witnesses, you ask them questions. You send the witness out. You say to the grand jury, any of you have any questions you want me to ask? Sometimes there are questions, and they are asked. Then at the end of it, in a normal case where the grand jury is going to issue an indictment, the indictment is prepared by a prosecutor who has presented the witnesses that it believes support this indictment and ask the grand jury if they have any questions and ask them to indict, and he'll wait outside while they deliberate. But 2 minutes later, sometimes longer, the grand jury will say they will indict. That is why a grand jury is called a rubber stamp of a prosecutor. It does what it is advised or told, depending upon your state of mind. So the grand jury is supposedly to, by its anonymity, protect the targets from defamation and slander and discomfort, and at the same time allows them to summon witnesses to get the evidence on a crime. Now, there's obviously a big gap between what it is said a grand jury is about and what it does. Now, this grand jury issued a report. Who do you think wrote the report? The grand jury didn't write the report. And, if I'm corrected, I'll eat it. But I have never known a grand jury, except for a runaway grand jury, to actually write a report. And so, whatever that report says, if written by Willis, as I'm 99% certain is the case, then approved by the grand jury, that she has designated certain crimes that she thinks she should prosecute. Okay, that's the process. Now, what are the rumors? Well, I assume the rumors are based on leaks, okay? But the rumor is that she's asked for RICO violations, racketeer, influence, corrupt organization. And what it basically is a powerful conspiracy charge that follows the money and follows the participation of people, and then has some pretty strong sanctions after that. Now, what would I do as the prosecutor? I think from the beginning I have said the KISS rule, keep it simple, stupid. And that rule here means prosecute Trump. Prosecute the only person that really, really matters to the nation and the world. Go after him. Prosecute the others a later time, but why racketeering? Why not make it a simple crime against Trump and barrel into him and win the case? I don't know. It's almost like it's a setup to fail, because in a racketeering case, there's lots of evidence, and if they're going to put in, say, Rudy and Meadows and whomever else into this mix, they make it more complicated. The more complicated it is, the more chance that we will lose the lead sentence in this story, which is about Trump, and be lost in a fog of detail that allow Trump to skate around and perhaps beat the case. Beating the case is not an acceptable alternative. Now, there are two kinds of ways to try cases. There are others, but there are two that strike me in this case. One is you try the case thick and big, lots of defendants, all the people we've been talking about, including, Lindsey and Lindsey Graham and other people, all sorts of people we could bring into this. That's a thick case, lots of people. A multi-page grand indictment, which is, 30, 40, 50 pages spelling out who's who. Or there's a single count or a couple of counts naming only Trump, and go after Trump and nail his scalp to the wall. Now, those are the two extremes, going thin, going thick. I would go thin. Now, is there an alternative? Yes. Say you have somebody who's so intimately involved in that conversation, like, say, Meadows or someone else, and add them and keep it kind of alternative thin. Increase the chances of a conviction, an ability to understand what's going on, and to get justice against a man who's had to account to no one for what he's done and what he continues to do. So that's how I look at it. Now, in the days ahead, we'll find out what the rumors and the facts are, and by the 24th, I assume, if the recommendation is to go ahead and indict, then we'll have a report that they said to indict. Now, is it possible they might not indict? Well, here's the thing that concerns me. What if the decision was made in advance, this has to be a RICO case, and we can't make the RICO case, so the grand jury's report is there should be no charges. And wouldn't that be a beauty? Is it possible? Yes, of course it's possible. Consider the fact that over 2 years, nobody charges Trump. And even with this grand jury report, still no one is charging Trump. So that's my concern about, I think the best case to bring down Trump is this case in Georgia, given that we have Mr. Trump's statements on tape. He can't run away from him. Him and his favors. Also, isn't it eerie, this is just a note, isn't it eerie that in Brazil, the rebels are mimicking what went wrong in America on January the 6th? Isn't that something that other terrorists in other countries thought less developed, less advanced than the United States, are now copying our worst moments as a nation, rivaled only by, the Civil War and certain other passages in American history. So that's what I've got today. I would like to be proven that Fani Willis knows how to bring down the bear and we'll find out in the days ahead. Is she a go, no go, and what are the charges, and how soon can we expect it? And I'm hopeful that she has more evidence than appears obvious to me, that is beyond that tape recording and the surrounding circumstances that set up that meeting and had discussions before and after that meeting. So there we are, and I remain happy as could be in my cathedral of trees right here in Loveisville, Virginia. So until tomorrow, take care. Bye-bye.